Man, it is a beautiful, beautiful winter day. Nice and cloudy. It's cold. It's great. Sipping my coffee. Man, life can't get much better. Hello and welcome to Across the Pond, a podcast where I get to speak to people from all around the world. Today we get to speak to Jonathan. Jonathan is a man currently residing in Missouri, St. Louis to be precise. Jonathan is honestly just really chill, you know? Well, you don't know, you'll find out. We talk a good amount about rugby and sports and kind of what Jonathan wants to do, and we talk a little bit about his podcast, which is a really cool concept that I'm excited to be on whenever he finishes the show that we talk about towards the end. But overall, it was just, I don't know, it's hard to put in words because it was so good. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with Jonathan. Gotta wait one sec. You there?
You hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you well.
Awesome. Sick. How you doing?
Good. How about you, man?
I'm doing well, thanks. Can you give me like 20 seconds to where I can take my plates into the kitchen so I don't have a bunch of plates on my desk?
No problem. Take your time, man.
All right, thanks. One sec. Okay, sorry about that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I was watching. I'm a big soccer fan, and I'm watching my team play right now, or kind of on the side. They're kicking butt, so it's like you want to watch it, you know, but you don't have to because you know that they're going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got home, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes ago and made a pizza and was eating pizza. And as soon as you joined, I was like, oh, shoot, I got my pizza still on my desk and it's all gross and stuff because I've been sitting out. So, you know, I had to take that out because I didn't want to sit there and stare at it and try and eat it again, but then it'd be gross, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks for doing this, and thanks for coming a little early. You know, it's always nice to start a little early, just, you know, this is going to sound bad, but hear me out. You know, it's nice to start early, but, you know, then you can get it done a little bit earlier, you know, because I like to keep these about an hour or so, and the sooner you can get them done without sounding, you know, disrespectful, the better, just because then it feels like you have more day. So this is super awesome. So are you going to be watching the Super Bowl at all? You a football fan?
I am a big football fan. I grew up playing. I didn't grow up playing football. I grew up playing baseball here down in Los Angeles. But football, I got to play throughout high school. I'm a big Raiders fan personally.
Okay.
And my dad's a Raiders fan. So, but no, like football is big in my house. At least watching it for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm from Las Vegas. Long story. I lived in Vegas for a while, lived in Montana for a while, and then now I'm out in the Seattle area. But it was really cool to hear when the Raiders were going to Las Vegas, and I was like, yeah, now I got another team to root for, including the Golden Knights if you're into hockey, or what else does Las Vegas have? I think that's it, just hockey and football now.
That's but I remember it was maybe 2 years ago. It must have 3 years ago. I went to a Golden Knights. I went to the playoff game. So I was in Vegas with my girlfriend at the time, and we won tickets to see like a playoff game. Like we were gambling, and I won tickets. And I was like, oh well, I have to go. I have to go because I forgot that Vegas even got a hockey team.
Yeah.
So I was, and we have the Kings here. I went to college in St. Louis, so I got to watch the Blues and the Blackhawks play a lot.
Okay.
So. But no, that game was my second time going to a playoff game, first time going to a game seeing any Vegas team play ever, because Vegas has never had a team.
Yeah.
In my entire life for any sports.
Yeah. Do you, real quick, do you by chance have a pair of headphones that you can plug in? Just because sometimes when I speak, I can hear myself.
Yeah, hold on real quick.
Thanks.
Oh, wait, do these have a mic? Oh, it doesn't matter.
I was going to say, you should be able to reroute your input to be your computer, so.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah. Do you hear any feedback or anything?
Nah, it's all good now. Thanks. Yeah, like you were saying when I was going, yeah, you know, I would hear myself. I was like, wait, that sounds creepy almost. Like, you know, I can hear myself. Anyway, it's all good now. Thanks for doing that. I appreciate it.
No problem.
So you said that you were super into football and stuff. Were
Yeah.
like your family and everything? Was it just always? Were they always a big sports family, or was it something like, for example, my family? We weren't really into sports, or at least watching sports, until we
hmm
got a little bit older. So has your family just always been in that realm?
Yeah, so it's crazy. It's not even crazy. Like it's just something that we all do. Like baseball. We would go to Dodgers games growing up. When they would do like the because so we go to it was just I guess where it came from is that my parents wanted us to go to live sports events.
Okay.
So we would typically go to a lot of live sports events because we're in LA. So we had two of everything. We have two baseball teams, two hockey teams, now two football teams.
Okay.
So it was easy for us to like get to watch sports live. So as a family, it was always a thing because my dad used to go to Dodgers games with his dad, my papa,
hmm
when he was younger. So I think it was, and my mom same way. Like she would go see USC and play at the Coliseum. So it was always like it's a for how big LA is. Like it's my family, my parents growing up always had to see live sports, so it was only natural that their sons and any nieces and nephews would also get to see a lot of live sports growing up. Like my parents are not athletic by any means,
Mm,
but they enjoy watching sports.
gotcha. Yeah, that's cool. I personally really like sports. I feel like it's such a great medium to, gather people together. And even if you're not necessarily watching it, at least you have something to, cheer for. Like if you have a team that you're really passionate about, support and,
Mhm.
feel good when they win and, kind of feel sad when they lose, just kind of give you something to look forward to. Like I said, I'm a big sports fan. I really, really like soccer,
Mhm.
and I don't know if you know anything about soccer, but I'm a big fan of Chelsea, which is a English team in the top
Mhm.
league.
Mhm.
And so every weekend, I'm like, yes, it's a weekend. I can't wait to wake up and watch them play. Like so that's kind of sometimes what gets me through. Like my Fridays, or if there's a big big tournament that goes on in Europe
Mhm.
called the Champions League.
Yeah.
And oh, you're familiar, yeah?
Yeah. So, when I went to school and I went to college in St. Louis,
hmm
and that was the first time I experienced a city that soccer was loved throughout the community because my college didn't have a football team. We only had a basketball and soccer team as the big sports.
Oh,
So, and soccer is really big in St. Louis. Like they have a large like Bosnian Serbian population, so a lot of people love soccer out there.
gotcha.
So like and so in the bars you would see it's either they're going to be playing soccer, football, hockey, or baseball. It's one of that is like one of those four for sure.
Gotcha. Are you a big fan of soccer? I'm just curious because I know that in the States, at least, it's not as popular as basketball or even baseball. But can you like sit and watch a game and like understand what's going on, or do you prefer
Yeah.
like hockey or something?
So that's the thing. Like when I was in college, soccer and hockey became the new sports I would watch because
Gotcha.
um there's live games I can go to all the time. So I would just go, I'll just go. But I understand it. Like I was always around people that understood it. So like I could sit there and say, well, why did they get the ball back? And he's like, oh, they were offsides. And he was like, what's offsides? Like offsides for me means something different. But that's when they would break it. They get a kick out of that because like I'm like, I don't watch soccer. So they were like, well, this
Gotcha.
this is how you do offsides. I was like, oh, okay. So can't be a certain like this certain person can't be this distance from this line. I would say a gain line. Or if they're past that, then it's considered offsides. But I was like, how do they catch that? But then they said that's why they have so many, refs so they can catch these kind of things. So I think for people that I would watch soccer and hockey with, it was a joy for them to expose a new person to a sport that they grew up playing. I didn't grow up playing soccer,
Yeah.
but they did. So it was fun for them to explain everything and like this is my favorite character, not character. This is my favorite team. This is my favorite player, and
Yeah.
these are my they come from this country or that country. So and then you dive into how different countries play soccer. So
hmm
then it makes you more invested. It makes me more invested when the World Cup comes around because now I understand like, oh, different countries play soccer in different ways. So and to me, it's just like boxing because
Yeah.
it's the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really interesting to watch the different teams play. So like right now, with club and everything, it's not country. It's like anyone from around the world can play on this team.
Yeah.
Like Manchester United, you're probably familiar with, or
Hmm.
maybe Liverpool or something like that. But anyone around the world can play on that team as long as the team wants to sign them. And what's really
Yeah.
cool is that any manager from around the world, any nationality or ethnicity or whatever it is, can manage the team. So then you
Hmm.
have different players from different countries with a different manager all trying to come together and win the game. So then you see
Hmm.
all these different formations, and some teams are super super aggressive while other teams are really high pressing or really low pressing or very defensive. It's so cool to see the tactics behind it, and just the little, for lack of a better term, mannerisms, if you will, that each manager tries to implement in this team with different players. Like it's really, really interesting to see, someone from Africa playing in the English league, because they're usually much faster and quicker and
Hmm.
more attacking minded than some of the people that might be from England. And so, when
Yeah.
you get that, hodgepodge mixture of different ethnicities on all these other different teams trying to fight each other, it's so cool to see, just the chemistry behind it all. That's one of the things I love about the sport. And I guess it's kind of that way too with basketball and football and stuff, but it's more, I feel like basketball and football and not necessarily hockey, because hockey's more well known around different parts of the world. But with basketball and the NFL, NBA, you have mostly Americans that are playing it. You might have a couple Canadians here or there. You might have a couple people from the Caribbean, or maybe Mexico or something like that. But for the most part, it's very Western.
Hmm.
And it's really interesting to see, just the dynamics of the differences of sports. Like, I don't know if you've watched any rugby before. I'm not super
So
into rugby.
I played rugby. I played collegiate rugby for 4 years in
Oh wait,
college.
what?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So it was we had a club rugby team in college, and I just got done playing 4 years of high school football. So I was like, I'll play. And I fell in love with it off the back. The rules were confusing, but I think as like my coach put it, he said the more you play, like the more game time you get, you'll understand the rules a lot more. And
Mm,
so I got to actually play 4 years of collegiate rugby. Um, 2 of my years we made it to the Elite Eight for Division II rugby.
wow.
Um, 2 of my years we also made it to the championship for, well, that was for 15s, and then for sevens we made to the championship for sevens. So for 2 years in a row when I was there. So no, like, and the way it's funny how I explain rugby to people. I say you take the physicality of football, but you take the conditioning of a soccer player and you meld them together, and then that's how you get rugby.
Mm. Yeah, because like I can remember when I lived with my parents still, when I was still in school and just after high school. Excuse me, one sec. Oh, there we go. Sometimes when you drink like coffee or something, you get those weird burps. Yeah, I get those
Oh
all the
yes, I
time.
do.
But when I still lived with my parents, I would watch, soccer on Saturday mornings. And
Mhm.
after that was done, they would sometimes do reruns of rugby games from that day. And so I
Mhm.
would I would kind of watch it a little bit. Like it still makes no sense to me. I just know that they're huge meatheads that just plow into each other, and they just really go at it. But then my mom would come over and she'd be like, what the heck is this? And she'd be like, how do these people not have like brain damage or something? Because you don't wear pads or helmets really. Like some people might wear like those, you see it sometimes in,
They're the skull caps.
yeah, the skull caps. Yeah. You see those, but I doubt that they really do that much, especially if you're, plowing into someone. Like that guy's a big guy that you're hitting, not to mention you're a big guy. The force is tremendous between you two. It's like, it's crazy, man. But I remember watching it and just thinking, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand why. Like, why sometimes do they have to kick the ball? Why sometimes do they have to place the ball like in the touchdown zone or the end zone
Mhm.
or whatever? Like, none of it makes sense to me. Do you care to enlighten me real quick?
Of course. So rugby is in a way it's football's dad.
Okay.
So it's if you were playing it's rugby in the simplest way is if you were playing old school football from like before they had the forward pass,
Okay.
because that's your objective is to get a try or a touchdown. A try and you have to physically touch the ball down. So a try awards you 5 points, making the extra point. The kick, it gives you 2 points, so you score in 5s and 7s.
Okay.
And then there's free kicks, which give you 3. Um, so it's like at its core, it is like it's like football, but that's where it starts to divert, because so the kicking the ball in a way is not like in football where I'm giving the ball back to their team. Kicking the ball is actually a way for us to advance the ball quicker downfield, because the only people that can chase the ball when it's kicked. So say you and I are on the same team.
Mm-hmm.
Say I kick the ball and you're to my left, but you're behind me.
Okay.
You have the possibility to chase after that ball, get it, and keep advancing the ball downfield.
Okay.
We kick the ball to get out of bad situations. We want to get the ball away from our our touchdown zone, our try line, because we don't want them to score, because and so what happens is, but say I kick the ball, and say there's an opposite of you and I down there. Their objective is to get the ball and bring it back to where we just kicked it from.
Okay.
Because even back then, there's 31 men on the field. There's 15 on one team, 15 on another team, and then there's one ref, or we call him the cert. So
Okay.
there's different positions. There's the pack and there's the backs. The pack are the really big dudes you see, where you see them colliding with each other, and like they throw a ball in the middle. That's the pack. The pack has they have, oh God, I can't remember. They have the locks. They have the they've locked, the hooker, I'm forgetting the names right now, actually. But there are typically 9 guys in your pack, and the 9 guys include all the bigger dudes. Some of the 2 guys, they're typically your guys that like they're like a wrestler type. They're kind of like really quick, really good at tackling at close range.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guy that gets the ball out. So the guy that gets the ball out, he's your scrum half. He is typically your best conditioned player. He's got a good throwing arm. He's got a very good. He has good field generalship. He's very good at seeing the situations and playing the game however he sees fit. He is our quarterback. And then, so his objective is either to get the pack of the big dudes to progress the ball slowly down the field, and so that we can get their defense to bunch together. And then if he sees a bunch, say he sees an odd number. So say you and I say I'm the scrum half and you're my inside center, which is like typically a fast, big, strong dude. I played inside center.
Okay.
And say you see the opposing team, they have less guys out there defending our guys. You would say, "Get me the ball." So your pack would give you the ball, and you're gonna toss that ball far out, and we're gonna run a play. We're gonna use our numbers to our advantage. But I can't pass the ball forward. The ball always has to be passed backwards. So if it's passed forward, it's considered a forward pass. The other team gets the ball back.
Mm.
So it's almost like playing an option. Like you're playing the option. You're playing the triple option all the way down the field, basically. So
and then there's like no downs and stuff.
There are no downs. So it's 40-minute halves, and the time doesn't stop unless someone gets injured. So we're always moving. So like I'm either always in a jog or a sprint for 40 minutes straight.
Wow, that sounds nuts.
Correct, it is. So our conditioning is about speed and stamina. So a lot of our conditioning was I'm running, I'm jogging, sprint 200 meters. I'm jogging, sprint 100 meters. I'm jogging, sprint 200 meters. It's about continuous movement, but always ready to explode. Like there was the funny way to put it, like I'm explosive. So like I don't have a high top speed, but I can get off tackles and keep pushing the ball downfield. So there was a time where I was on defense and they got the ball out, but one of the guys, he missed the ball. So, I jumped the gap. So when I jumped the gap, I saw the ball in my gap. So when you're playing defense, it's like playing defensive line. Like every guy has a gap or a guy. So typically, depending on how your coach sets up your team. So my gap, the ball was right there. So I darted in, caught the ball in mid flight, and took off. I'm not the fastest guy, but what we did was we took it from our try zones because they were about to score on us. So we took it from our try zone all the way down to, I want to say, the 20-meter line for their side. So we were 20 meters out, but now we have the ball, and now they're on their heels because like when I got tackled, two of my teammates were on me, so like they support. So when you get tackled in rugby, the guy that tackles you, God, it's really hard to explain because I feel like I'm blabbing on, but
Nah, it's making sense.
so say you tackle me and I have the ball. So say there's no one around us. You have the ability when you tackle me to get up and take the ball from me.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone, and I can't hold on to the ball if you do that. If I hold on to the ball, penalty against me, you still get the ball, and now I have to go back 10 meters. But say you make the tackle, but you don't wrap up. So like you hit me, I fall off, but you're not holding on to me. I can, as long as I place the ball down, I can pick it back up and keep running.
That sounds
So
really interesting.
yeah. And so, but say you make a beautiful form tackle, you bring me down, but my two guys they're behind me. So what they're going to do is they're my support. So one guy is going to essentially, he is going to do a long squat, a deep squat over me. And so he's creating like a strong base to support me because your objective is you want to still get that ball, but now there's what they call a gate. So you have to go through the gate. The gate is my body position and where the guy that's rucking over me is. So typically, if you want to create a small gate, so guys create like an L shape when they get tackled. So smaller gate means you have less of me to pass over. Because if say the guy say I'm long ways, say I'm creating like an L,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy rucks over me, so he's perpendicular over me. You can go over the side of that guy as long as you're over my leg, over me. As long as you come through over me, that it's fine. But if I'm creating L shaped and you come to the side and come through the back, that's you not going through the gate. So that means it's a penalty against you. You have to take 10 meters, go 10 meters back.
It sounds like a very almost like way too technical. Like there's so many small little technicalities within the rules.
And you don't learn that until you actually, it's not something like you can sit down in a class and learn. It's something that you have to experience. Like you have to make the mistakes or see your teammates make the mistakes. The funny way is it's a sport that you just can't learn. You have to experience the sport to really understand, because the nuances I'm explaining are only through 4 years of playing collegiate rugby.
Yeah.
Like if you would have asked me these questions before that, for those 4 years, I would have just told you they're just running down the field just to score a touchdown. But the more you play and the more difficult the teams you play get, the more advanced you learn how to play the game based off of your team, based off how you are. Like we were a small team, like physically smaller than most teams. So we would our game plan was to outrun you. We would tire teams out. And you could see it on their face because like we're kicking the ball down the field, chasing after it, bring the ball. They get the ball back, but we're making the tackles and everything.
Yeah.
So, but some teams they have bigger guys, so they can play a more I'm going to hit you in the face kind of game. So they'll just charge at you, keep pushing you down the field, and you can't do anything about it until you. So it's a sport that you can't understand until you play. Like soccer for me, like I can't understand all the rules. The way I put it is you can't fully understand the sport until like play it.
Yeah.
Then you understand all the I can honestly say I will never understand the intricacies of soccer and hockey for the life of me. But I've played a lot of other sports, so and someone said, and if you can explain it in terms that I can understand, that's fine. Like the guy who explained offsides to me, he explained it in a football way, and I was like, okay, I get that now. So, but rugby is just one of those sports, unless you grew up around rugby, that you have to play it to understand it. Gotcha. And then you really get how, because then you you get involved in the countries that play, and you see how they play. So and then you go to rugby matches, and it's a lot of camaraderie. It's one of the few sports I got to play where it's the only sport I got to play where I can beat up the guy across from me and I can go have a beer with him right after. And there were guys I played all 4 years. I went to their graduations. They came to my graduation. I was in their weddings because if you build like a camaraderie with the guy, because this guy chose to line up across from you every year, 2 games a year, and either you beat him up or he beats you up. But at the end of the day, I get to go have beers with him. We get to talk to each other.
That's really cool. And I'm kind of that way with at least with understanding sports. I'm that way with cricket. I don't know if you've ever tried to watch it or anything, but it is such a weird sport. It makes no sense to me. I don't understand why you have to throw the ball like a windmill. I don't understand how you're supposed to hit the ball. You know, apparently you're in the center of the field and you can hit it literally any direction, and then you have to go touch the base or whatever it is or cross the line with the bat. Like that, I just don't understand it. Like I've tried to watch it before. Some of my good friends down in Vegas, their father is full-blood Indian.
So he definitely plays some cricket.
Yeah. So sometimes I would go over and he would be watching, and I was like, Ashok, his name. I was like, how in the world do you how do you play this? And he would try to explain it to me. I'm like, that makes no sense to me. I'll stick with soccer. It's such a weird sport. It's like baseball, but also kind of like, I don't know. It almost looks like a version of baseball. But then there's also like elements of maybe like what's the wall ball almost?
Yeah. Cricket is a crazy sport because I actually they had an exhibition cricket match in St. Louis when I was out there, and I didn't understand it for the life of me. But we went, and the scores get high, and I was like, why did the scores get so high? And the way they explained it to us was that the scores get so high is because you have these guys, when they hit the ball, they're basically running suicides up and down that pitch until the ball gets back to I think he's called the bowler. And so, but as an American, it doesn't make a lick of sense to us because our closest comparison is baseball.
Yeah.
And baseball, I've never seen a baseball score where it's 328 to 150. It's like that's not even those aren't even basketball scores at that point.
Yeah, and then not to mention, it's like from what I understand, the field isn't that big. You know, like of course it's probably the size of a baseball field, maybe a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit smaller. You know, I don't know the exact dimensions, but at the same time, it's like if you hit that ball just right, you know, and you have a decent amount of the opposing team on the field, how hard is it to throw it back to the bowler? I think you called it. Like, how hard is it to go run, grab the ball, and then throw it back? And then, of course, how far is it from where the dude hits the ball to the other end of the pitch and then to come back? Like, how hard is that? Is it like 5 feet, 20 feet? Because if you're getting up to 300 points a game, which I'm not sure what an average score is, or, you know, an average score line or whatever, but, you know, let's just say you're getting to 300 points a game, you must be able to run at least 4 or 5 of those, I would assume. But, I mean, at the same time, I think there's no, like, outs or there's no whatever. The only way that you can, like, end your batting, whatever it is, you know, however you like flip sides, don't you have to like knock the wickets down and like and that's how you like swap?
Yeah, you have to knock the wickets down. But to us, it's not something that we get because it's not something we grew up watching. It's not cricket's not something that it was just on TV. Like ESPN's not playing cricket highlights. Well, when they would, it would be like those rare occasions where like a guy basically does a baseball-esque, like he jumped out of bounds, caught the ball, and did whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not really something that we grew up doing. Like, and as you can tell, it's a lot of former British colonies that play it. So it's not something that's within our viewing. And it's rare that it's someone you would watch American, like, oh, what are you doing? Like, I'm watching cricket. And you're like, what? But that's just the nature of that beast.
Yeah. So I'm curious because, of course, you know, it sounds like you're pretty well educated with sports and stuff. How did you get into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
So It happened 3 years ago. I weigh 190 right now. I weigh 260,
Wow.
and I got into a weight loss competition, and it was I think it was first place was going to be like $400, and
Okay.
second place and third place, so on and so forth. So I was like, I want to win this. So what I did was, this gym not too far from where I live was doing like a weight loss thing, and they didn't say much about it, but it was Brazilian jiu-jitsu based. So I started it,
Okay.
and I fell in love with it actually. And when I was there, the class it was a late evening class, and the owner of the gym was like, "Hey, if you want, you can also do Brazilian. You can do our because I was doing no gi. No gi is basically like you're just wearing tights and shorts.
Okay.
You look like a UFC fighter, but with the tank with a compression top on.
Okay.
But he said, hey, if you want, you can do the gi version, which is similar to a gi similar to judo or karate. Well, I would say judo because the judo gis are thicker than karate gis typically.
Hmm.
So I started doing that, and I fell in love with it because it's very technical, and it's very and the camaraderie with the people that you're sparring with it brings you guys really close together. And so that's how I started. I lost 40 pounds within, I want to say it was like 4 to 5 months. And so I was down to 220 to an 18. And so I kept doing it. And then I got a belt promotion. I was like, okay, I'm not too bad at this. And so it was just something where I found an outlet after doing, 4 years of collegiate rugby where I was at 190, 195. I found something else I could do and keep the weight off.
Mm.
And it was difficult because jujitsu is very much a sport where like my how I do jujitsu is going to be different for how you do jujitsu, and so on and so forth, because everybody has different body types.
Mm.
So and it's a journey. Like my goal is I want to get my black belt. Um, and the way you get your black belt is obviously by training, competing. Well, you don't have to compete, but I love to compete. So I can sign up for competitions and compete and do all that. Um, and the people that you meet, they're very, there's a lot of memes about jujitsu because, and a lot of them are true. Like you become a very level headed, calm person the longer you do it because you realize that I don't have to be tough all the time. I don't have to do X, Y, and Z. I'm confident in the whatever surroundings I'm involved in. So you become very calm and like laid back. Like um, I was actually at our gym yesterday, and one of the guys was like, "You look so calm when we're sparring, and but you still like do the things you do." I'm like, "Cause I'm having fun. Like
Hmm.
it's not about for me. It's not about winning. Like I know I'll get choked out. I'll get submitted. It doesn't matter. It's a part of the game. But what makes it fun, and I'll talk to people. Like one of the jokes I have, one of the guys I was about to there's a choke called a rear naked choke, and I was about to get it on him, but his hair smelled really good, so I was whispering in his ear while I was choking. I was like, "Your hair smells really good." But and he laughed when he laughed, and he tapped basically. But it becomes a thing where um you can have fun while doing it, even if you're in a really crappy position. Like it's fun to see how you react to pressure and react to adversity, because every day I roll, especially with the people of higher belts, even some people of the same or lower belt, you're always going against adverse situations. And I think now I've gotten to the point where I enjoy being in those adverse situations because I want to see how I can get out of the adverse situations without using like my strength or anything. All about the technique at that point.
Mm. So it sounds almost like so hear me out. It almost sounds like a more aggressive form of meditation.
Yes. The way they put it, it's like it is extreme yoga because
Okay.
I was nowhere near this flexible when I started 3 years ago, and now the positions people put me in, I can. It's mind-boggling, and you feel really good after you do it. Like you could have a really bad day in class, like people were choking you out left and right. You got submitted 50 odd times, but you're driving home and you're like, I feel really good. I feel like I got some frustration out. I feel like I can do better. These are things I'm going to work on tomorrow when I come back. It clears your mind. So you can. I've had really crappy days at work, but after jujitsu, I'm like, all right, let's go back and let's do the same thing tomorrow. And it clears your head, and you're not stressing about things that don't matter, because those thoughts leave your mind when you're sparring with people, because you have to focus on what you're doing and your game plan and what you're coming in there to do.
Gotcha. So then I'm not very familiar with martial arts as a whole.
Mhm.
I'm not even sure if you would consider Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as a form of martial art, but
It
what
is.
what would be the um kind of, so you know how like and I'm not sure what the terms are, so this is going to sound super vague, but try and
Mhm.
follow me. You know
Mhm.
how, for example, MMA is very much, like throwing punches and stuff.
Yeah,
Like each sect of martial arts kind of focuses on a different uh what's the term? A different sort of
aspect.
physicality, maybe?
Yeah. So
What does yeah, what does you
jujitsu will fall underneath the same group as judo and wrestling.
Okay.
So
So
it's a grappling martial art.
okay, grappling. Yeah, there we go.
So
That's my question, yeah.
wrestling, judo, sumo wrestling. Um, there's a form of wrestling that is in, I want to say, is Senegal. That's like a different. It's a form of wrestling too. Catch wrestling is submission based wrestling.
Gotcha.
It's a grappling form of martial art. And
Gotcha.
there's only a handful. There's not too many, because most martial arts, like I grew up boxing, so obviously a striking martial art. And my
Mhm.
gym teaches Muay Thai, which everybody knows is a striking martial art. MMA is the culmination of all martial arts, because you have, and MMA has evolved because now you have people that grow up doing mixed martial arts. So there's not like a guy from a strictly wrestling background coming to do jiu-jitsu, a boxing background doing jiu-jitsu, a kickboxing background coming to jiu-jitsu.
Oh.
You have people that are coming in more well-rounded. So, because that's what they like, jiu-jitsu has been around since like the UFC celebrated. So they're celebrating like 25 years. So like it's been around they celebrated 25 years 2 years ago. So it's been around for a long time. But
Mm.
now we're getting these guys. But it was based off the fact, UFC was based off the fact that they wanted to find what's the best martial art. But now we're finding out that the best martial art is all martial art. Was when you could take pieces from all forms of martial arts, and you can integrate that within your body type to make you the most, in a way, deadly weapon on the face of the earth, like in human form.
Oh, that all makes sense now. I like for what so of course, you know how sometimes you hear something and you think you know what it is, but then when someone explains it, it makes 1,000 more, or it makes more sense.
Yeah.
Like right there, that made so much sense to me. Like I knew that it was kind of something like that, but when you just
Mm-hmm.
explained it, I was like, oh, like it was almost like you should have had a V8 kind of moment, like
Mm-hmm.
throwback. But that's so interesting to me. Do you see sometimes, because of course you said Brazilian jiu-jitsu isn't the strike one, it's the grapple. Do you see sometimes punches and stuff being thrown, or like kicks or something to maybe like stagger your opponent, or is it literally like that's illegal?
It's typically illegal. There are ways to. So the funny thing about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is that the person that you're rolling with will be as like typically the way I take that back. The way I approach it is I will be as nice to you as you are to me. So
Okay.
if you're cross facing me, driving my face across into the mat, or like throwing my legs to a certain area, or doing certain things, like you're doing things that could hurt me, I will hurt you.
Okay.
Like, so it's not my objective every day I roll is not to hurt the person I'm training with. Like I feel really bad when they do get hurt, and say and they feel then vice versa. So I always tell people like, hey, like I will go at your pace.
Mm.
So if you wanna cross face me, you wanna like drive my face to the ground, push my knee down at a weird angle, then I will do the same, if not worse, because I know how to do it more efficiently than you do.
Gotcha. That's
So
interesting.
it becomes that, and that's what it's like that's really what it is like in most martial arts.
Okay.
It's a respect thing.
Yeah,
If I respect you, you should respect me.
yeah, like I have seen a few fights, a few MMA fights. Of course, I've seen some of the Conor McGregor fights because he's more well known. And some of the other ones I just kind of like my brother's into it, so I'll sometimes throw it on.
Mhm.
If I can find a stream or something. Because if I'm being honest, like I watch streams. Like I don't have the money to spend $70
Oh,
on a fight, so
don't worry. I'm in the same boat as you, man.
I never said that, by the way. But so I'll like sometimes watch it, and it's really interesting to me to see the level of professionalism and respect. Of course, there's a ton of trash talk. Of course, there's a ton of BM, bad manners and everything that are being thrown at each other because, it is a fight. It's
Yeah,
not like it's, oh, I'm going to spit on you and you spit on me and then we call it good. No, like you're going to duke it out. But at the end of the day, like they're standing there, most of the time, like
yeah.
they'll like shake each other's hand or, they'll like give a hug or something like that and be like, good job. It's really cool to me to see how brutal the sport is in general, but then
Mhm,
also how professional and how kind, I guess I'll say, the opponents are towards each other after
mhm.
the match.
The way it's put is that it takes a different kind of human being to get into an octagon, and you're basically both. It's the way you put it. The way I could put it is they're like Spartans and gladiators, but they're being paid to do it. These two individuals are getting in the ring and putting their life on the line, and so they have respect for each other on that level.
Yeah.
and that respect is and people would never understand that until they compete at that level. Not even at that level. Like anytime I compete in a jiu-jitsu tournament, I have respect for this guy because he had enough courage to get up that morning, come in, make weight, and then come onto the mat and come and shake my hand. Like he's already done more than 99% of the people in the world.
Mm.
So I have respect for him on a personal level, and I have respect for him also as a competitor. And it's the same type of respect. Like you, MMA, and I like yes, there's trash talk, but it's really to get their name out there. But at the end of the day, if a guy truly has respect for his opponent, like they can shake it off because they know at the end of the because they know that he's doing this to provide for his family. I'm doing this to provide for my family. And that's as long as they both have that understanding, then like it doesn't matter what happens during the fight. Like they have a mutual agreement that like one of us might not walk out of here. One of us might be taken out of here on a stretcher. One of us might not come out at all. But I am putting my life on the line just like you are, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's a very interesting way to put it. I like that. I like that. I think it's you know what? I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna move us on a little bit. All right.
No problem.
I'm curious because you don't see a lot of people, especially well, at least in my experience with university and stuff. I didn't see a lot of people in my class go into civil engineering. So like, what made you want to go into that, and then what do you do with it?
So civil engineering. So first, when I went to college, I was first initially an aerospace engineering major,
Oh,
and I found out within my first semester freshman year that I will always be on a computer behind my desk, and I said that's not what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I switched to civil. My dad recommended. He's like, why don't you try civil engineering? So I tried it. Well, not tried it. I joined the civil engineering department, and I enjoyed the classes, but I didn't like at least the preliminary classes. So they were cool and all, but I didn't really um, have a love for the major until my junior year. So I guess people go into civil engineering because they want to enact change on the environment that they can see. And the environments you can see are the sidewalks, the roads, the buildings, the bridges, the undergrounds, the sewage system, anything, if like basically infrastructure. Civil engineers do it because they want to enact change on the infrastructure and make it more efficient. That's why I chose it because I see the bridges, I see the buildings. I want to be the person to make these better. because I grew up in Los Angeles, earthquake country.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to design things that, well, initially I was like, I want to design things that withstand the test of time. My grandkids, my great grandkids will see what I was a part of. But as I started learning more, I realized that yes, I will design these buildings, but that's not the fun part. The fun part is when you actually get to build them. So my degree is in civil engineering because I wanted to see what I build. But now I'm in the field of construction, of a general contractor, where I actually get to build the things. I don't use my degree at all. I can. But what I do now is I learn about the different systems that it takes to build the buildings. I can literally say now, I built that building. Like I was a part. Like, it's not just I designed that. It's that I was there every day making sure that things got done. So I think people choose civil engineering, and why I chose it initially was I wanted to see the change that I could build. I wanted to see the change physically. Like an aerospace engineer, a mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, they might design one part, or they might design one chair, or they might design one HVAC system for a building. But like a civil engineer is the person, like without us, that structure doesn't stand.
Mm.
So civil engineers. So and I enjoyed civil engineering because it showed me that we do have a big say on what happens if we have the money. Because my specialty was transportation engineering, which is designing roadways or freeway systems that are able to accept the capacity based off of studies that we have done for certain road segments, or say we're the people that change traffic lights. So say there's a traffic light in an intersection. It's just a standard traffic light, red, green, blue. I'm not red, green, yellow, and you don't have protected left turn or right turn arrows. Say the population grows in that area. Now more people are making left-hand turns, but it's causing backups because more people are making left-hand turns. So now that's when we sit there and we're going to add a left. Now we've done the study. When we did the study back in 2014, we had 20 cars every minute come through and make a left-hand turn. Now that number has jumped, 20 cars an hour make a left-hand turn. Now that number has jumped to 300 cars an hour making a left-hand turn, and it's causing delays in the intersection. So now we add a left green turn arrow. Okay, now it brings that number down. So now people have the ability to make a protected left turn without causing traffic delays or anything like that. So it's all, and then the timing might be different. Like you might say, well, this left-hand turn is going to be a 15-second protected left turn light, which means it's 15 seconds from when it turns green to when it's going to turn yellow to when it's going to turn red. Basically, it's about or it's about saying in Los Angeles, the light rail system is becoming a bigger thing. Why? Because the car unions destroyed our old trolley and light rail systems because they wanted freeways, because they wanted people to own cars. Now we're fighting. Now the city and Caltrans are fighting back. They're like, well, we need these trains because more people are taking these arteries. Let's alleviate that stress. So it takes years. They study, they do studies, they do surveys, and they see where people are coming from, where they're going to. And from those surveys, you present this idea like, hey, these are the surveys, this is what people want, this is what we want to do. And so then it's a lot of steps, but you're enacting a change in the city that will have far-reaching effects into the future. Like there's going to be a train that I can take, that my kids will be able to take from where I grew up all the way to the airport. That never existed in my entire lifetime, but now that will be a possibility. There's a train now that gets me from Santa Monica, the beach of Santa Monica, all the way downtown. That only existed when my grandmother first moved to Los Angeles back in the 50s. So that was 50, 60 years coming. So it's the change you're enacting is allowing people more mobility choices in a large city. So now I don't have to take my car to the beach. I just take my bike to the train to the beach, bike to the beach, all that stuff.
So it sounds like overall, and you can correct me, of course, if I'm wrong, but it sounds like overall you kind of wanted to maybe go down this road because you wanted just to make the area that you live a better place.
Yes. And it's crazy because that's actually what a lot of engineering is. Like, yes, they make like a person who's a professional engineer can make a lot of money, a lot of decent, really decent to good money, really good money. But we want to, we want to make everybody's lives easier. And the way
Mm,
the civil is the macro side of it. So civil is all about, well, this bridge is falling apart. Well, can we fix it? No, we can't fix the bridge, but we can build a second bridge. I'm like, okay, cool. So let's build the second bridge and then we'll decommission the first bridge. And so that's that's what it's all about. It's about change on a macro scale instead of a micro scale. Like an aerospace engineer, he might say, hey, I made this design where we're going to cut down the materials used in making the seats for an airplane so that they weigh 30% less, which in reality makes the plane more fuel efficient because there's less weight on the plane.
mm,
So it's all about making things better. It's making things better in the long term for everybody.
yeah.
Um,
No, I like that. I like that a lot. I feel like a lot of people need to take that into at least their everyday rituals, if you will. Just kind of have the idea of we just need to do better. We have a lot of people that are very narcissistic in today's society, at least in the States, to
yes.
where I wish more people had your mindset of, even if it's something simple along the lines of, I'm just going to pick up trash, at least you're doing something to try and, help out the society, help out the area that you live in, make it a better place. Like we need more of that.
Well, and I agree. And I think that happened, but that has to happen at your home, right?
Yep.
Like, my dad was big on community service, and my dad and mom are big on community service. So my brothers and I, we did a lot of community service growing up. And then what's even funnier is that we went to an all boys high school, and we community service is actually a part of your curriculum. Like you have to have 100 community service hours each semester, and
Wow.
yeah. But if you think, and if I told you that, you'd be like, how will I get 100 community service hours? But they give you a list of community service sites and everything that you can work at that past students have worked at. And so I remember this one evening, my brothers and I were like, my two younger brothers, like, hey John, we're gonna work at the Midnight Mission Soup Kitchen for our community service this weekend. And I was like, okay, like, can I tag along? Because I'm almost done with my hours, so this will finish it up. And they're like, yeah, sure. I'm pretty sure because one of our teachers was the one that was leading it. So we're that next morning we wake up early, we're getting ready, and my dad was like, "Where you guys going?" And I'm like, "Oh, we're going to Midnight Mission. We're going to work at the kitchen for the day. We're going to do the breakfast and lunch rush." He was
Mm.
like, and I could see like the happiness on his face. He was like, "You need money for lunch?" We're like, "No, we'll be fine. We'll just come right back home after." He's like, all right." But he talks about it a lot. Like I think he and my mom, they enjoyed that we had to go out and serve the community, and but we enjoyed it. Like it wasn't it was it's a very big city. There's a lot of we have a large homeless population, and it's always good when you can help those people. We would tutor underprivileged kids for testing and everything for classes and stuff as well. We would work community service hours in the community by cleaning up alleys. I worked at a battered women's shelter, tutoring their kids and remodeling apartment complexes for them. So it's all about it's crazy. Like John F. Kennedy, he said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country." And it really comes from like a local level first. Like, and if you're willing to go out there and help your community, and even where you live, like I did a lot of community service when I was in St. Louis too. I built tree houses for foster kids.
Mm.
I was like, I never had a treehouse, and I have both my parents, but these kids get to have a treehouse. But you can see the joy in their faces. So it's like it's all about willingness to enact change in your own neighborhood, and then from there it evolves. And so, like, I took civil engineering to like a drastic example. Like, I'm seeing change on a macro level, but in reality, I'm always been enacting change on a small level, on a local level. And I think the local level make it, and it feels it sounds so disingenuous, but it makes me feel good to help people that are in my area. Um, not for like the pats on the back or anything. It's just because if I was in the same situation, I would want someone to help me, right?
Hmm.
So I try to treat it. You try to walk a mile in their shoes, and I won't be able to walk a mile in everybody's shoes, but I can at least empathize with them and try to understand.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that a lot. I wish, like I said earlier, I wish more people would have that idea, that mentality, because we do need more kindness. Here's the thing that really just kind of blows my mind, and just hear me out.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of people nowadays, especially on social media, but just like in general, a lot of people are like, we just need to love each other, and we just need to be kind to one another, and we just need to make the world a better place. But yet no one does anything about it. It's all talk.
Hmm.
It's they like I said, they don't do anything about it, but they need to. Like, if you're going to say, hey, like, we need to be nicer to people, we need to be kinder to people, like, try and help those that are less fortunate, then do
Hmm.
something about it. We need
Yeah.
to have the mindset of, rather than just saying something for whatever
Hmm.
reason, to actually be able to do it, act on it. Don't be all talk, do it. And I wish more people, like I said, were like you. I think that's a good quality to have. Real quick, I'm kind of curious because I'm gonna wrap things up.
Hmm.
I want to know what your podcast is about. Kind of use this time right now to kind of like self promote, and tell me what your podcast is all about. Like, what you might be doing, any of your socials, any of that.
So my podcast is Welcome on Goofballs, and I call it that because my dad used to call my brothers and I goofballs while we were sitting up watching what, Pokemon or Gundam or stuff like that growing up. So a lot of the time it's me reviewing or talking through certain talking points of different shows I watch or different movies. I have guests on that are good friends of mine. You're more than welcome as well. If you have any show recommendations, Daniel, that's more than fine. I'm happy to watch anything. But it's about diving into the different tropes and themes that a lot of these shows and movies have. And because I'm a big I love watching movies. I love watching TV, and I'm a big I'm a I like the different themes that are presented in different shows and movies. So I like to talk about them. And then sometimes it's really just me just 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 talking to friends and family about different things. Like it's a delve into me because even though we're not on camera, I'm black, so I'm Black African American.
Hmm.
So the way I look at things, it's going to probably be different from the way you look at things, right?
Hmm.
Just just based off of our life experiences and everything. But it doesn't mean I can't empathize with how you are. So it's mainly about me. It's me getting a lot of things off my chest, but also giving a very funny take on a lot of different things I get to watch. Because some things you might never watch, but I watch it because it's something that might pique my interest. Like I recently did an episode on my fiance. She told me to watch Charmed, the newer season of Charmed. And I was like, I would never. This is not a show I would choose to watch. Let's just put it that way.
Hmm.
But the themes in the show are they are good. Like if I have daughters and they want to watch the show, or sons that want to watch the show, by all means they can watch it.
Hmm.
Um, but it's really just about me just diving into the themes and motifs of different shows. And the more television you watch, you start to realize there's recurring themes that continue to happen. So I try to really explain those well, but the themes that I don't get to see often, I really like to go in depth with those movies and shows, especially one I just watched called Midsummer. It was
Yeah, I heard about that.
it was a beautiful, great cinematography. The themes were amazing. I have a lot of very funny commentary to go along with it because there's certain things I just wouldn't do in that show, in that movie, that don't make sense to me, but to other people it might like, well, I would give it a try. But for me, I'm like, nah, I can't do it, won't do it. It's just something seems off. But it's me just talking from my own perspective on situations that are incredible, that are actually funny. When you think about it, you're like, yes, I would not do that because, and then you go, see, that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really just that. Like I just started it last year. It's email welcomehomegoofball@gmail.com, Instagram welcomehomegoofball. It's just me. It's just me giving you my eye and perspective on shows and movies and the themes and motifs that come from it. Because what I see might be different from what you see, and that's fine. That's more than fine.
Yeah, if you ever are doing guests or anything and you want one, I'd be more than happy to come on. So if it's not your thing, totally understand, because it is about you and your the way that you view things.
Oh no, I have many guests. I have not many, but I have had quite a few guests. So you are more like, if there's a show you watch and you want me to watch it, let me know. Or vice versa. If there's a show you've already watched, you want to discuss it and we've already watched it, we can both talk about it. I'm open to anything.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to do something like that. That sounds really cool because you don't see a lot of people kind of just sitting down and talking about a TV show or a movie and then the ins and the outs of it. You just kind of see people say, oh, like this was good. And that's it. You don't see a deep dive into it. So yeah, I just finished. All right. I want to go off a little bit. I just finished the show with my wife. We started one day, we were sitting down and we're like, all right, what do we watch? And she's like, oh, you can try this. And it was CW's The 100. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I have. My dad's been trying to get me to watch it. So that's a show I'm going to I'm going to start watching that tomorrow.
Good. Yeah,
it's one of the shows I have to start watching.
Yeah, so I will say this, it definitely gets pretty weird, but the first 2 seasons of that show, in my opinion, were phenomenal. I thought they were really, really well done. But one of the things that I really like about the show in general is that every single season, little spoiler alert, but I think it's good to know this going in. Every season, it's the same storyline, but each season ends up being something completely different, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so what they do, though, really, really well is each season they do a phenomenal job at just trying to help you to think about moral decisions and what you might do in the situation. It's almost every time there's a choice that has to be made, it's either it's that idea of the train is coming and there's 2 different tracks, one with one person and one with like 5 people, and it's like, who do you kill? Like they put you in that situation a lot, and I'm not trying to spoil anything that might be considered a spoiler by some people. I don't think it is, but they do a really, really good, just they attack a lot of just really deep, hard things that a lot of people might not necessarily think about in today's world. And it's so well done. I think you'll really enjoy it if you like sci-fi at all, because it starts, even towards the end of the first episode, you're just like, wait, what? And then it just drags you along the entire way. And it's really good. You're at the end of the second season, I remember looking over at my wife and I was like, what the heck are they going to do with that? And then it just opened up an entire, oh my goodness, it just opened up. And I was like, wow, they actually did a really good job. So you definitely should try that. And maybe when you're done, maybe that's something that we could talk about. So whenever you finish that, send me an email or something if you want to do an episode about that. I'd be more than happy to do it.
Okay, but I'm down for that. I'll start tomorrow, and I will let you know, man.
Yeah, for sure. So again, real quick, just so we're done, so we're on the same page. When we're done, go ahead and just kind of type out all the things that you want me to put in the notes. So of course, like the web page or whatever for your podcast and all your socials and stuff, so I can copy and paste those in the notes. But there's one more question that I want to ask you, and then we'll be done. And this is the thing that I love to ask everyone because I like learning. I really do. And I feel like everyone has a different small little take on almost anything you can think of, right? And so this the question is, like, what's a piece of advice or like a saying or like a bit of wisdom that you would want to pass on to someone that maybe you've held on to for a long time? It almost sounds like your father is a very smart man. He wants you to watch the 100. Not to mention, it sounds like your family's very close and everything. So I would assume that your father he spoke a lot of wisdom to you. But like, what was something that maybe you've held on to for a while or for a long time that maybe he said or someone else has said? It could be anything. But what would be that one thing that you would like to pass on to someone?
It's crazy because it was actually the thing he told me when I must have been 13. Um, I was invited to a party or like an outing, midday on a Saturday, and but I had baseball practice, and I really wanted to go out, but I needed to be at baseball practice, and like I was conflicted, and like I remember my dad, he sat me down, and he was like, he basically broke it down this way. He said, like being an adult he said basically being an adult is doing things that you might not want to do, but you need to do because that's the right thing to do.
Mm.
And that sticks with me all the time because there are days where, you might feel down, you just don't want to do anything. But I think the thing about being on my own now is that there are going to be things I don't want to do, but I have to do them, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it's always there's gonna be so if I had any wisdom to impart to anybody, like it sounds cold, but there's gonna be a lot of things you don't want to do in your life, but they're necessary for you to do, and you're gonna look back on that, and you'll be happy that you made the right decision, and quote unquote right decision, because it was so funny. I went to that practice and I was one of only 5 kids that were there, and we had a championship game the next day. And
Wow.
our coach was pretty upset about it. But that next day, I had the best game ever. I was 5 for 4 batting. I mean, not 4 for 5 batting. I scored 3 times. I didn't drop any balls, and I got to play catcher and second base that game. And my dad was like, even though we lost the game, like my dad and coach were like, this is why you come to practice, so that at the end of the day, you don't like, because the kids that didn't come were beating themselves up about not winning. Like
Yeah.
they were sad and crying. And I was happy. I was like, holy shit, I had the best game. Excuse my language. I had the best game I had in a long time. But and one of them was like, why are you so happy? We lost. And coach was like, because he had a better game than you did. That's why he's happy. He's sad on the inside. He's more than sad that we lost, but he can sit there and say he did his best.
Mm.
So it was, even though baseball is a very team oriented sport. So I would just tell people, there's gonna be a lot of times you don't want to do something, and that's fine. But what will set you apart from the rest is that you will still do what needs to be done, even though you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No.
that's the real makings of like a true independent adult.
Yeah, no, it's so true, man. And I'll add on to this because I feel that what you're saying needs to be heard by everyone in the world right now, because we have so many people who are under the mindset of just do what makes you happy or do what makes me happy. If it makes me happy, then I'm going to do it. But that's not necessarily the correct choice all the time, because there's a reason that there's pain and sorrow and, being distraught. Like there's negative things in this world, emotions and feelings, for a reason, and a lot of the time that helps us to grow. Like if you remember growing up as a kid, I bet that there were multiple times where you were punished, not because your parents, just wanted to beat you or anything. Like, of course, hopefully that isn't the case, but I know,
No.
I know for a fact that my parents, if I did something wrong, they'd spank me, or they'd be like, what are you doing? Like, and they would discipline me, like my dad would spank me really hard with his belt, and I really quickly learned I'm not going to do that again. And at the time I was like, why are you hitting me? But now that, I'm a little older and I look back, I'm like, yeah, I don't do that stuff anymore because I was disciplined. The pain is there for a reason. There's a huge reason that we have pain. And if you're just happy all the time, you're not going to freaking grow, dude. Like, you're not going to become a better person. You need to choose to do the right thing. So because when you become an adult, you're not going to get punished. You're not going to get spanked. Yeah, you might have to pay a small fine or whatever it is, but you have to choose the right thing. Just to reiterate what you said, I think that's excellent, excellent advice.
Yeah. And so, and my dad's still around. Him and my mom, they've been married for, it'll be 29 years this year. So his advice is always great. I actually laugh because the way my parents talk to my brothers and I is the same way they talk to other people, and people get offended by it. So they go like, "Do your parents always talk to you like that?" I'm like, "Yeah, but that like as long as they're talking to you, that means they care about you. And if they don't talk to you, then they don't care about you."
Yeah.
So that's how I always look at it.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Well,
Thank
John,
of
course.
For having me on, Daniel.
Yeah, of course. By the way, do you go by John or Jonathan? Does it matter?
You can call me whatever, as long as you don't call me late for dinner, man.
Late. I like that. That's a good one. Awesome. Well, I'll use Jonathan because I feel like a lot of people go by John, and I feel like you're an incredible person. You stand out, so I want to say Jonathan, if that's cool.
Thank you so much, Dan.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you again so much for doing this, and thanks, for coming a little early. This was nice. This was a blessing, if you will. You spoke a lot of truth, and you taught me a lot about sports that I didn't know about. So that was really cool.
If you ever want to have another sports episode, just let me know. I love sports, and I'm always down to learn more about soccer. So
yeah.
By all means, because it was funny because I actually one of my favorite English teams is the Tottenham Spurs.
Okay. No. You can get out now. Like later, bro. Like, this is fun.
When I found out they were a big underdog, I was like, well, I got to go for the underdog over here. But no, I know the rivalry is Manchester United and Manchester City.
Yep.
That's the big rivalry. I try to stay out of that rivalry, but it was the most underdog of underdogs. So I was like, I'll take them and I'll be fine. I can live with that. If I've been a Raiders fan my entire life, I can be a Tottenham Spurs fan for the remainder of my life.
True. Awesome. Yeah. Well, whenever we get in contact again after you finish watching that show, we can definitely do some more sports talk and whatnot.
No problem.
But yeah, like keep me in the loop. If you ever, keep going down that line of watching the show and whatnot. And like I said, I'd love to do an episode with you. I hope that you enjoy the Super Bowl. I hope that this day, the evening is great for you and everything. I hope who do you want to win, by the way? Did I ask you that? I can't remember. I'm sorry.
No, it's difficult. Personally, I want the Kansas City Chiefs to win. Okay. I have a lot of family in Kansas City, so it would be nice for them to win the Super Bowl.
Gotcha.
But also, I feel like Brady's going out. This might be his last game. So,
true. Yeah.
I've never disliked the Patriots or I've never been a Brady hater, but either one would be fine. But I prefer to see the Kansas City Chiefs win 2 Super Bowls in a row.
Yeah, I was talking to my brother about it. Real quick, I'll say this and then I'll end it. But I was saying to my brother, like, it'd be cool to see the Chiefs win because they are. I would consider that they might be the underdog because the Buccaneers have Brady. You know what I mean? Yeah. And Tom Brady is more than likely, a lot of people would consider him the GOAT, greatest of all time quarterback ever. And so it would be cool to see him win it because he's not on the Patriots. And so it would kind of solidify his history, as saying like, oh, I can play almost anywhere and still win the Super Bowl, even at, what is he, like 45 or something like that?
Yeah, he's old.
Yeah. So it would, I don't care personally. I just hope it's a really close game and it's like down to the wire.
Yeah, that would be great. So
yeah,
I can't wait though. It's because I'm about to go pick up the wings for my parents and my grandmother right now, and my mom's she's picking up pizza right now. So
nice, cool. Well, I hope you enjoy that, man, and I hope that the family time is good and everything. And I'll let you know when this goes live. I'll send you an email. Just a little thing. It'll probably be about beginning of February. It'll probably be about mid-March or so is when this will go live.
That's fine. Don't worry about it, man.
Yeah, but I'll send you an email and everything. But yeah, I hope you enjoy your the Super Bowl and you can enjoy the upcoming week. And thanks again so much for doing this. This was honestly a blessing. It was really fun. I really enjoyed it.
No problem. I had a great time talking to you too, Daniel.
Awesome. All right, take it easy, brother.
You too, man. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Across the Pond. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to connect with me, you can find me on Twitter at KingServant, and that's KingServant. You can also find the audio version on YouTube. There's no video, just audio. You can type in the search bar Across the Pond, and you'll find us with the picture of the lily pad. If you want to support us monetarily, you can find us on Patreon. Each tier has its own rewards, so please check that out if you want to throw some money my way, but please don't feel like you have to. I do this because I thoroughly enjoy it. I don't do this for money. If you know someone that would love to be on the show, go ahead and send them my email, acrossthepondpod01@gmail.com, and that's it. That's all you got to do. After that, I got to do all the hard work. But I would appreciate it if you could spread the word a little bit. Tell your friends, tell your family, say, hey, I found this really cool podcast that I think you'll like. The host talks to people from all around the world about anything. Tune in next Sunday and every other Thursday for another awesome episode of Across the Pond.